This is a unique offering. I think it's a unique offering. And Mitchell is like all things health. I've watched his videos and they look awesome. And I was telling Justin last night, one of the things I like about it is it seems simple. Like the concepts are simple, but obviously you need to have discipline to do them. So I'm looking forward to actually taking advantage of your services myself after watching the video.
Thank you.
So this will be a treat, you guys, so enjoy.
Yeah, I'll start with a round of thank yous. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you to Gina for setting this up, Lisa as well, and also everyone else on the Wellness Task Force for all the events throughout the week. It's been super fun to get people engaged, and so we'll get to it. Mitchell has not only been one of my closest friends for the past 15 years, but he's been truly instrumental in my own health journey, whether that's be writing fitness programs for me, giving me nutritional advice, introducing me to functional fitness, some things that are not as normal but better for your body. His approach with me and the help that he's given me throughout the years, as well as dozens of his other clients, is truly extraordinary. He's authored 3 books, his third, most recent being Healthy Made Easy. The objectives for today's presentation will be, 1, to bring to light the importance of nutrition and really making it known the significance and how it is a hallmark of healthy living. And 2, trying to demystify some of the common misconceptions regarding nutrition and some of the complexities. And 3rd, I believe it's important to provide some practical, actionable tips for those of you guys to take home with you so that you can be one step closer to living a healthier life. And then if we've got some time, I think he's gonna go over a few tips on posture, because us working in an office sitting down all the time, everyone's gonna be shoulder back now. So be conscious of that. And so we'll have some tips for that as well. And then hopefully some questions, some type of questions at the end. So that being said, let's give the stage to Mitchell.
I want to thank Justin for that introduction. I can't emphasize it enough. Those who know what Justin does, and if you don't know, he's an actuary here. Actuaries have so much sort of math and mind-numbing sort of stuff they've got to do. Yet somehow he's been able to find a way to sustain his health over the past 5-10 years. I mean, really, he and I have gone on a journey since we've known each other trying to sustain our health. And one thing him and I have noticed is most people don't take care of their health because it's not convenient. The inconvenience of living in the 21st century, where we've got our food right up the street, air conditioning, heat, convenient transportation, we don't have to walk everywhere. I can't emphasize enough that I've helped enough people, both virtually and in person, to tell you that getting healthy is not as hard as you think it is. And if you've tried to get healthy before, I can nearly assure you it was harder than it otherwise could have been, because the person dispensing the protocol that you could have been following made it more complicated than it needed to be. And most people that are trying to sell you something, they want to personalize a program in a way where it's unique to their delivery system. They want to say, I have the answer, here's the formula for you. But to be honest, there is no one-size-fits-all approach to nutrition. There's just not. And so with all of my clients, what I've done is I would teach them the basic principles that every personal trainer, dietitian, nutritionist knows when it comes to getting their clients healthy. And again, it's just teaching you principles on how to be healthy. Now, when it comes to being healthy, it's 2 simple things. Every longevity specialist, every single personal trainer, anybody worth their salt when it comes to health will tell you it's revolved around decreasing your inflammation and increasing your circulation. Our inflammation primarily comes from poor eating. But the majority of Americans, again, it'll be on a slide here in a second, but the majority of Americans, 90% of us, are technically considered unhealthy. And it has a lot to do with the standards most doctors will measure on a standard blood panel. I think you guys have a free bio screening that the company offers. That bio screening will tell you exactly where you fall within the markers that every single longevity specialist or any doctor worth their salt will measure when qualifying how healthy you are. But again, today we're going to talk primarily about the nutrition side of things, and if you can fix your nutrition, you will find yourself qualified amongst the 10% who actually eat well enough to not be chronically inflamed. And then over time, you can learn other protocols, like learning how to fix your posture, which we'll talk about a little bit today, and like learning how to work out in the gym properly. But neither one of those things are going to matter unless you clean the food you eat. Personal trainers will write you all these programs saying, do these squats, do these push-ups, do this, do that, without addressing the key issue on why you're unhealthy. And it has to do with the poor food that we eat. Simple as that. And the reason why we eat a bunch of poor food is because it's convenient. But when you understand working out is only an hour of your day, you can prioritize the importance of clean eating because your body's metabolizing food 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's why for all of my clients, I emphasize 80% of your getting healthy is going to come from the food you eat. Only 20% of getting healthy is going to come from the sort of fitness protocol you follow. And most of my clients who fix the food, the only protocol fitness-wise they really have to follow entails, again, fixing their posture and learning how to walk better. And when you can do those two things, you can do what our ancestors have done for all of human history without necessitating having to do any extracurricular fitness or rigorous exercise plan, because the nutrition is going to take care of the majority of your healthy living. So again, we eat so poorly simply because it's convenient. I don't know if I saw a Jimmy John's or a Pizza Hut around here, but you guys have so much convenience at your plate, pun intended, that it nearly incentivizes you to make a more degenerate decision. Why would I go cook my own food? Why would I buy the ingredients, cook my own food, clean up after all of that, when I could get my food in a faster way? It's simple as that. And when you can accept this basic principle, you can feel better about why we currently are in that 90% of being unhealthy. So again, 90% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy. Metabolically unhealthy, metabolism. It just means how your food is being processed in your body. The standards, again, by which all Americans, all humans are judged is based off of your simple blood panel along with a BMI, which is going to be your blood sugar levels. It's going to be your triglyceride levels, which is your blood lipid level, essentially. It's going to involve your cholesterol, all these things that, again, I don't expect anybody in here to become an expert to where you can define your LDL and HDL levels to then qualify how healthy you actually are. I don't expect that. But I expect you to have a competent enough understanding to know why we may be unhealthy and then implementing the protocols to getting a little bit healthier. And in Healthy Made Easy, we go over that. Healthy Made Easy, again, explains the historical context of a lot of this alongside the actual physiological implications of what having a high BMI could do, what having high blood sugar can do. So long you can identify the importance of these small things, you won't have to prioritize big efforts in having to memorize it to the point that your doctor is questioning whether or not you should be in his seat. Because guess what? A lot of our doctors fall into that same category. Because a lot of our doctors are medical doctors. They're experts in medicine. They know how to medicate. They even understand the qualifications that they would fall on the basic blood panel. Yet somehow they can't find out how to actually get themselves as healthy as they expect their patients to be. So the question is, how do we fix this? Has anybody in here ever tracked your food before or tracked your macronutrients? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you've, look at that. We have nearly half the room has experienced, heard of, or at least been privy to what it means to track your food. And I can tell you this right now, raise your hands if you didn't like tracking your food. Of course, nobody likes tracking their food. It's tedious, it's mind-numbing, but what is it more than anything? It's inconvenient. That's all it is. So if you can get over the subtle inconvenience of the chorish responsibility of knowing what food you're putting in your body, I can assure you that it'll give you more convenience later on in life, in that you won't be inconvened by having poor health. Because there's nothing more inconvenient than that, especially the older we get. So when it comes to tracking your food, and for those that don't know what tracking your macronutrients is, your macronutrients are your base nutrients that are in every single food. When you have the back of a box, any sort of food item in the store, that list, that food label, the only thing you got to worry about on that is your protein, your carbs, your fats, and your calories. Again, it may seem tedious at first, but I can assure you there's a stark difference in my clients who said, it's too inconvenient, I'm just going to try to get healthy without tracking my food. Versus the clients that go, all right, fine, teach me this elementary math so I can be equipped enough to do math when I'm a grown-up. And that's how I see tracking our macronutrients. I see it as basic literacy in your nutrition so you can start making the mindful choices of being healthier today because you understand what you're actually putting in your body and how that'll affect you going into tomorrow. The main thing with our macronutrients is focusing on less carbs. Because in America, let alone in the Western world, we have an overabundance of carbs, let alone highly fined processed carbs. So without telling you avoid this, avoid that, which we'll get into, the main basic principle you can understand is I've got to stop eating so many carbs. Portion sizes and unhealthy fats are other things we need to avoid. But the main thing as Americans we got to avoid is the excess carbs. And Gina, I know Italian, trust me, I understand 100%. My girlfriend's Italian and she comes from a traditional Sicilian family and that's all they do is eat carbs. Sunday dinners, I go over to my in-laws, will say, and every single time they present to me 4 different pasta options, I have to kindly deny.
With a side of bread.
Well, with 4 sides of bread and 3 different types of bread. So eat less carbs, eat less trash, fats, we'll say, which there are some healthy fats. One thing I did in Healthy Made Easy, I gave a quick overview of the historical context in which why we see food the way we currently do. Why we think of the food pyramid as we thought about it, because that's what we were taught growing up, even though that may not be the most efficient. Decrease your carb intake, decrease your fat intake, decrease your caloric size, which just means your portion size, and eat more protein. Those basic principles without tracking your food, if you could just do those things, it'll make you healthier every single day you decide to make that healthier choice. And it's just in those basic concepts. Fix your carbs, fix your fats, fix your protein, fix your calories. And the main idea is giving our body a break from the excessive work it's had to do given how much food we eat and how little we give our bodies time to process all that food we eat. So in Healthy Made Easy, I have what are known as self-sustained tools. There's an entire go-to step-by-step process on how to track your food. And again, by the way, everybody here at Americo, 50% off discount when it comes to Healthy Made Easy. It was only $10, by the way. That's pretty convenient. So you get it for $5. Yeah. So in Healthy Made Easy, you have these tools, but ultimately, I have a video that explains exactly how to track your food. I have a video explaining how to fix your posture, how to fix your walking. But when it comes to nutrition, Healthy Made Easy is a one-stop shop for getting healthy because it tells you how to track your food. And then it gives you a list of dietary rules to follow, like drink 100 fluid ounces of water a day. Avoid certain nutrients, specifically anti-nutrients like industrialized seed oils, which again, we'll get into. And I don't expect you guys to be an expert in this stuff. That's what Healthy Made Easy is. It's a how-to guide that you can always reference anytime you feel as though you're lost in this Healthy Made Easy journey. Probably the most important for everybody is going to be the shopping list. I am not telling you what to buy whenever you go to the store. I'm more so telling you what to avoid. And when you can know what to avoid, it makes it more liberating knowing what you can then enjoy, what food you can eat. And even then, some of the foods I'm telling you to avoid, you mainly have to avoid them for now while we're getting into our healthiest state. Because a lot of the foods you need to avoid are causing you to be unhealthy. But once you get out of that unhealthy state, the way I look at it is almost like a Pareto principle, Gaussian distribution. The math guys probably know what all this is. I look at it as if you can be 80% clean eating and 20% bad eating, that's enough to maintain your healthy living. But at first, we've got to allow ourselves the freedom to get healthy before we start indulging in a lot of the nutrients that we should be avoiding. Dosage is the poison. We got to remember that. Anything in excess can be poisonous. And a lot of the foods we eat, we just don't realize how poisonous they are on our bodies. And the reason why they're poisonous, the reason why they're so influxed in our society, specifically in America, is because of how it's all processed and conveniently made. It's inconvenient having healthy food to feed to the masses. It's pretty convenient to feed a bunch of people corn, a bunch of wheat, a bunch of BS. And even then, eating those foods isn't necessarily bad so long we don't eat them in excess. So, that's all Healthy Made Easy is really doing for you. But again, it's least important about the book doing this for you, more so somebody presenting the information. The book is supposed to be for everybody here's Mitchell as your personal trainer and as your health coach without him actually having to be there. I've essentially taken all the information that I distill to my clients still regularly and put it into a one-stop shop for you to be able to have access to the same level of information. So I explain what foods to avoid. These oils, which we all are so familiar with, our ancestors were taught specifically in the 30s and 40s that certain foods were good and certain foods were bad. And they had no idea that the integrity of the science community was going to come out some decades later to substantiate all the degeneracy of those old habits. The main thing is going to be vegetable oil, sunflower oil. Canola oil is not that bad. But canola oil has been processed so much nowadays that you'd be hard beat to find a high quality canola oil. It would have to be organic and raw, which you're not going to really find that often. So the question is, how would I then avoid these and what would I use to replace those? We use things our ancestors have used for thousands of years. Gina, you probably know this. Olive oil is a big thing, isn't it? Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I'm not just trying to call you out, you're a good representative of the facts that exist out there, given how our ancestors, specifically the closer they are to being an immigrant, are when it comes to maintaining base historical disciplines that have stuck with us for thousands of years. It's no different than, funny enough, Justin was one of the first people I grew up with that I started eating regular white rice with. And then as I got older, I was wondering, why white rice? Same sort of principle. The same way there's poisonous, toxic stuff in certain oils and other foods, there's toxicity in the actual, it's really the whole, and then it's going to be the germ of the seed grain within rice that our ancestors understood, hey, there's something toxic in there. Let's process it to where we can make it white. And our ancestors, 4 billion people on the planet still do this. They understood brown rice versus white rice, we prefer the white rice. And then you just have to ask yourself, why? And the reason why is because the brown rice has a bunch of toxicity in it that when eaten in excess causes your body to act adversely, the way 90% of Americans currently are responding to a lot of the toxic foods that we eat. But to be able to exemplify it by something as little as olive oil is better than trash processed seed oil, then we'd say the same thing as white rice is better than brown rice. Knowing the things that are good versus bad gives you an idea of how to then choose a healthier choice. Being presented with those options. That's what's key. But unless you're educated enough to understand what is good and bad, you can't blame yourself for making the wrong choice. Especially when our society has conditioned us to think what was once good is actually bad, and vice versa. So all we should do is start with small changes. I don't know if there's any Jordan Peterson fans in here, but these are the real 12 rules for life. The real 12 rules we should be following have to do with drinking a good amount of water, getting a certain amount of fiber, getting a certain amount of protein, avoiding certain foods, knowing how to qualify certain sources of food versus others. I didn't think about this until about 4 years ago. None of us think that eating meat is potentially bad unless we're vegan or vegetarian. But if we understand we're eating meat, we just think, I'm eating beef. I'm eating meat. It's meat. What's wrong with it? But just like the white rice versus brown rice, the difference in white rice is on this side, good. The difference in our grass-fed versus our grain-fed beef could potentially be the difference in us actually making the healthier decision. And it's things like that that unless you know why and then what needs to be changed, you can't blame yourself for making the wrong decision. So one of the things I have on here, we can even go through the list. It's drink 100 fluid ounces of water, consume 20 to 40 grams of soluble fiber. What's soluble fiber? Again, I don't expect you to understand how to define specific fruits and vegetables as being highly soluble or highly insoluble. I expect you to know an apple has a lot of insoluble or has a lot of soluble fiber, and zucchini has a lot of insoluble fiber. Like knowing how to compartmentalize those two things. And then you'll know, well, he said I should eat the soluble, so I guess I need to eat the soluble. And in the book, it explains subtly why the difference is what it is. One of my favorite stories, this is something that when I had first heard it, it blew my mind. There was a Christian missionary who is now known as the father of fiber. He was the one who discovered fiber. He was from England. He was technically Irish, but he moved to England. And from England, he wanted to fix or understand why the world is starting to have, it was really people in England, why the world is starting to have such a high increase in colon cancer. And so what he did is he went on a missionary to Africa, saw how the Africans were eating, and realized none of them needed his service of providing these colonoscopies, of providing these colon services. Because that's what he was doing. He went on a mission thinking because everybody in England had terrible colons, everyone in the world did. So he went to Africa and discovered they actually have really good colonic health. Mitch, how do you measure colonic health? You look at their poop. That's what you do. So he looked at their poop. Funny enough, this dude was fascinated with how big their poop was. And he starts following these Africans around, measuring their poop. And what he discovered, funny enough, was it's fiber that separates the healthy Africans from the unhealthy Europeans. The problem is, he thought it was simple fiber. He didn't know there was a difference in the fiber. So guess what he did? Dennis Burkett's his name. Dennis Burkett goes back to England, prescribes to his clients to eat a bunch of fiber, even though it was insoluble fiber, and he died of colon cancer. Him dying of colon cancer is indicative of his naivete when it came to understanding the difference in the very thing he discovered. That's the difference between soluble and insoluble fiber. It's not that you don't need insoluble fiber. Insoluble fiber is just something that at the end of the day, you need less quantities of than the soluble. And it's no different than certain foods we eat, like specific seed oils that was on the screen. It's not about necessarily avoiding these oils. It's about knowing the dosage that could then potentially toxify our body. Dosage makes the poison. We've got to remember that. But starting with small changes is how we really do this. It's one of my favorite quotes of all time. Preparation plus opportunity equals luck. I have clients all the time ask me, Mitch, you're lucky. Look how you're in good shape. You're lucky. You were blessed. You got good genetics. And I go, here's a picture of my brother. And then they realize, okay, maybe it wasn't just luck in your genetics and you just don't have to work for it. I prepare. That's really why. I've prepared in knowing how to work out, knowing what foods to eat, and then I implemented them so when the opportunity came to choose a healthier habit over a bad habit, I had good luck as a result. We will have good luck in being healthy if we prepare and learn how to get healthy and choosing healthier options when the opportunity strikes. All I'm here today to do is to show you that you always have the choice to choose a healthier option. And then I'm presenting you with the tools to know what options to choose when those opportunities strike. So, by becoming a healthier you, you are not only becoming a better version of yourself in the aspect of being a healthier version, but a healthier and better you is a healthier and better friend to your friends, a better and healthier parent to your children, and a better and healthier child to your parents. An overall better contributing member of society. All because you decided to be inconvened a little bit and choose a healthier path. So again, this is what I've offered on my website, 100% for free. The only cost of entry is that you're willing to pay attention. See that? And again, throw a little $5 on there to get the Healthy Made Easy, and you are well equipped to start getting healthy starting today. And it's primarily from fixing your food, which will deflame your body, and then eventually you'll fix your posture, and then eventually we'd fix our walking. It's as easy as that. You never really have to even step foot into a gym, which surprises a lot of people because the fitness industry tries to sell you on the idea that you have to complicate getting healthy rather than keeping it as simple as it actually is. So, one thing we can do, Justin said we talk about posture a little bit, and we'll get into we could get into the weeds of what that actually entails, but I could demonstrate just for you guys to have a little idea. When we are sitting all day, what ends up happening is the top of our thighs are essentially overactivated. It's like we're in a half squat. Imagine if you were just like this at your desk. Right. I couldn't even hold it for longer than 2 seconds. Squatting or being in a half squat all day is causing an overactivation on the top of your thighs. Let's think about it. If you're squatting, your leg muscles are being activated. But if you held this position, they're being extra activated. And when you hold this for hours on end, what happens is if this is activated, it's essentially pulling your pelvis forward. And so most people have this pulled forward pelvis that's causing them to have, as you can see, a tightened up lower back. Without, again, being a physics genius or anything, you guys should understand gravity is a thing and it's pushing on us all day. And if you have deficient posture and gravity's pushing down on this, you can see how that's going into your lower back. And that's where most people are going to have that poor posture and that back pain. It's from that overactivation of their thigh muscles causing their pelvis to be pulled forward, which now causes them to have poor posture. And we haven't even talked about the shoulders being rolled from being on our phone or being at our desk. That's just in the pelvis, right? So what we would do is we would understand the implication of that, knowing we have to sit. We could practice. You guys got a bunch of standing up desks in here I've seen. You guys can not only practice 5 minutes on the hour, 10 minutes on the hour, whatever that looks like, but just practicing not only standing up, but fixing your posture. And I have a video again that shows you how to do all this for free. It takes like 10 minutes to learn how to do it. It's just inconvenient trying to spend 10 minutes to learn something. That shows you all it is knowing how to bring those shoulders back, to open your chest to opposite that rolled shoulders, and then to just learn how to tuck your pelvis in. This movement of tucking in that pelvis is so foreign for a lot of people because they've deactivated a lot of the muscles that are involved in their posture. So when it comes to fixing your posture, it mainly comes from understanding the implications of your pelvis and your hips with regard to them being overactivated. And the way you would fix them is doing exercises that essentially works on all the muscles involved to get that pelvis back tucked underneath. And it's really an ab thing and a glute thing. And the glute thing makes more sense because we're sitting on our glutes all day. That makes sense. But we don't think about when you sit on your glutes, personal trainers should know this, there is a reciprocation in your glutes being activated and your core being activated. So if your glutes are deactivated, your core is going to be deactivated. Simple as that. I can't emphasize this enough to such a degree that the protocol I have for my clients is, again, there's a video, this is the thumbnail to the video, it's on my YouTube, it's on my website. 3 stretches a day is all it takes. 3 stretches a day will fix your shoulders, will fix your pelvis, and you'll be able to walk with gravity without it affecting your body in a way that if you had poor posture, it would end up causing your body over time to get debilitated. Like we wonder why a lot of old people have this hunched over, shoulders rolled, bent movement, we'll say. And the way we can fix that is by understanding the muscles involved in fixing the poor posture can cause us to fight with gravity instead of against it. So if you want the extra work, I got a whole bunch of programs, but again, I really do not care about you guys getting the programs. The programs are essentially me giving you a list of exercises you need to do, and on every single one of the exercises, there's a video of me explaining exactly how to perform the exercise. A one-stop shop for health. But again, I do not expect anybody to get these programs. I expect us more than anything to invest in what it means to actually be healthier, which is fixing our food. And that's what Healthy Made Easy is. Punch in key code Americo at discount, you get $5 off. It sounds better saying 50% off. So you can become self-sustained today. It takes nothing other than you being inconvened and enduring that inconvenience. But I'll tell you this right now. For every single one of you to be qualified to even step foot in this building and work a 9 to 5 at a company like this, that discipline in and of itself qualifies you to be more inconvened by just coming into work than being subtly inconvened learning how to fix your health by just reading a 100-page book. 100 pages of you to be able to constantly re-reference anytime you get lost in your health journey. If you guys have any questions, thoughts, concerns for me, that's pretty much where we'll leave it. I really just want to emphasize, it's knowing what foods to avoid, knowing the toxic dosage of a lot of those foods, and then the potential implication of poor biomechanics, which just means how we move, which starts from our posture. Babies don't go from crawling to walking. Babies go from what? Crawling to standing, and then they find that balance, to then walking. But they've got to find strength in that posture first. Again, I'm least concerned with the posture and the fitness for now, because that in and of itself can be highly remedied through the clean eating. Bad eating is going to inflame your body, and then sitting all day and poor biomechanics is going to cause your body to not be able to really move. Eating better will deflame your body, and then learning how to fix your posture will allow your body to move the way it was designed to move and operate. The idea is to teach you guys to be the best personal trainers for yourself to where you'll never need to hire anybody. And that's why it's self-sustained training. We're teaching you to be the best personal trainer for you without never, ever needing to depend on another personal trainer ever again. So,